Call this meeting to order. If you please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Want to thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We got a large group here, so we got more coming in, so we might have to squeeze over a little bit and make some more room. Do we have any need for translation tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will go on to the approval of the agenda.
I motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So carries. Do we have any public comment for tonight? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go on to recognition.
Yeah, thank you, President Johnson. Excellent opportunity this evening. Is that loud enough for everybody? All right, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the feedback. You can see we have a full room tonight because we have such a strong and proud tradition of wrestling in our community. And we wanted to take a few moments to honor our girls and boys wrestling teams. I just want to give a little bit of information about their season and how things wrapped up. And then I think we've identified 2 female and male wrestlers to come up and talk a little bit about their experience in our wrestling program. I'll start with girls wrestling, who placed 4th at state. Is that correct? How about a round of applause for that? Yeah. Girls were 4th at state, and we also, in our league, in the CWAC League, Grace Mendez was the lightweight wrestler of the year, and I think she's a freshman. Is that right? Yeah, so pretty cool for her. And then on the boys' side, we were 2nd in state this year. And Rudy Ochoa the second was our CWAC Coach of the Year, and Mason Perez, who's the 2nd best Perez wrestler in the room tonight, was the heavyweight wrestler of the year for the CWAC. So congratulations to Mason. Isaiah's not here, is he? Oh, you're the best. Oh, okay, yeah. So he's 3rd then. He can beat me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we had 2 boys and 2 girls identified to come up and share a little bit about the program. Is that right? I'll put my glass. Yeah, come on forward to the mic up at the podium. And then I've got a couple questions for you that might kind of get the conversation going. Is Elia here tonight? I think she was going to help us. Yeah, come on up. And Alejandra, is she here? Yeah, there we go. Did you prepare something for this evening, or do you want me to jump into a couple questions? What would you prefer?
You could jump into a couple questions.
All right, turn that mic on, and we'll have a boys and a girls mic. So I wondered if one of you would tell the board a little bit about what a typical day looks like for you during the wrestling season, trying to balance school and wrestling.
Okay, so basically, so it's kind of hard balancing both at a time. You just have to work hard in the classroom as hard as you work on in the wrestling room.
So we wake up at about 5:50, get to morning practice, and then we practice for about an hour, for about 45 minutes. Get to school at like 7:40, start, do schoolwork. If we have late practice, go home and do all your homework. And then if you don't, try to stay up after practice to do your homework.
Yeah, it's a busy time. So some of you are in other you participate in other athletics, right? What do you think sets wrestling apart from other sports in terms of the lessons that it teaches you and the experiences that you get from being out there by yourself in the mat under that light?
It's a really mentally tough sport, and you have to have a really strong mindset to go through all those matches in a day and keep going to every single practice. So it's just a mindset.
All right, you get the next question then, unless you want that one.
Not next question.
Next question, all right. Can you describe the feeling you get when you step onto the mat?
That's a good question. Well, my mindset is to destroy the other girl. I'm sorry. Well, I'd say walking with the mindset to every time I wrestle to like learn something new and like just have the experience. Yeah.
Maybe two more questions. Can any of you tell a story about a time when either you or one of your teammates pushed, like you saw someone go to the limit? Like I can't believe they did that. It was just really impressive to watch.
My teammate Anthony Albundis at his his quarterfinals match. He was wrestling a really tough kid. Everything just kept going wrong. Kid kept hitting him. He got a few points. And he just pulled it out the end. I think he stopped the takedown and won the match.
All right, maybe last question just for fun. What's your favorite pre-match ritual or superstition? Do any of you have it? Any? Something that you eat or something that you do before a big match?
Just talk to your friends and like get hype.
The hair coloring's not a superstition or a pre-match ritual? It's just your natural look. All right. Anything else the four of you would like to share with the board about your season or about your experience as a wrestler here in Othello? Or other questions from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here. As a former wrestler, 91, I was just reading your sweatshirt, and there's a lot of X's and V's, but I was with Loopy, we were on Mac Classic 1 and 2 and 3. But just one thing, these memories you guys are making, they'll carry with you. And even today, every February, all the memories I came on, we were Mac Classic, and then just the lifelong friends like Loopy and I have. We don't talk every year, but whenever we see each other, and he was a big part of. He was graduated '89, but I was '91. But the reason I went to stay because he would stay and we would work out after practice. So, as you guys go forward, I mean, there's a great tradition here at Othello, and you guys are really keeping it on and going, and it all started with Wayne Chudy and so forth. But just I don't know. Every February, the memories come back to me. So I mean, just cherish these memories and enjoy the moment and stuff. And hey, congratulations! It's quite a feat. I know how it is. I walked in, girls too. I walked in all your shoes. The discipline it takes, but that discipline's life lessons. And later on in life, this wrestling, the getting up early, it'll pay off because it'll come back to definitely beneficial. So, and just enjoy the moment.
I want to say thank you guys. I wasn't that old wrestling with Loopy, although Loopy did kick my butt a couple times on the mat, even at his old age. But I just want to let you guys know that we're super proud. You guys keep that tradition alive. I've been out of school for 26 years, and you guys have kept it going. Wrestling's been a staple. The one thing I love about wrestling, and I'll ask all you guys, it's on you. It's only on you guys. There's no team out there. It's just you and against another person. And you put whatever you put on that mat or whatever you do in practice, it's going to show. And it's awesome to watch you guys develop from when you guys came in as freshmen to now. Same thing with your parents. Little guy wrestling. Some of you guys have wrestled since you guys are knee-high to grasshoppers. Freddie, stop laughing back there, I know. Little Rudy, that poor guy, he's wrestled and then started coaching and kept the program going. So we're super proud of you guys. Thank you so much for keeping that legacy here in Othello.
All right, well, we appreciate you all being here tonight. One of the traditions we have when we do recognition is we like to take a picture with the board. So we'd like all the athletes and coaches to come up front before we dismiss you to the rest of your night.
Thank you. I broke my collarbone. Yeah. Yeah, I broke this at Northwest Regionals to qualify for Fargo.
I got it right there. I got everybody. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna take a couple. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Okay, you're welcome to stay the rest of the meeting if you like, but otherwise, if you just come for that, you're welcome to leave now. We're going to continue with the rest of the meeting this moment.
They'll make you run if you stay.
At this time, we'll go on to the student representative reports.
Good afternoon, everybody. For my student representative report, I'd like to report on a previous meeting I had over at NASBA, which involved a lot of the student representatives from around the state. We primarily met for one motive. We wanted to discuss on how the process of becoming a student representative differed for every student representative around the state. And we also did a bunch of icebreakers that let us got to know about each other. They also discussed on some opportunities that any student can take in the state of Washington, but unfortunately, a lot of these spots are limited. But one that stood out to me was the State Board of Education, which was looking for a sophomore student representative. This position would involve me furthering my education as a student representative and help with the current education system to better benefit the students of the state. With this brand new opportunity, I decided to enroll to see if I got accepted with the help of Dr. Perez. But overall, this meeting was very informational, and I look forward to meeting with other student representatives again to become the best student representative that I can be. And the Sand Hill Crane Festival that's just passed last week, I volunteered this previous Saturday, and it was really nice to see a lot of community members and high schoolers volunteer. Thank you, guys. I'll let Katie take over.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are having a good evening. My report is we have a new trimester at the high school, so we're all learning new stuff again. People are still in the same class, so that's been a little bit of a challenge navigating. Our senior presentations are coming up next month, I think exactly in a month. So all the seniors have been prepping, presenting our presentations based on our site visits. And Cookies for Convo is April 18th during both lunches at the high school. So if you guys are able to come and support us for Cookies for Convo, that's the date, April 18th during both lunches at the high school. And then spring break is also coming up in a week, so I'm kind of happy for spring break. It's my last spring break here, so I'm gonna try to get every memory out. So that's what I have.
Okay, we'll go on to board member discussion. Director Gerber, do you have a report for us tonight?
For legislative report?
Yes.
Yes. So the session closed on March 7th, and so we had a meeting with all the legislative members kind of going over what was passed, and they sent us a very long summary of everything that was passed. I've just kind of gone through and want to mention some of the ones that apply directly to education. This document, of course, has everything that's passed, not just education, but the education ones I wanted to highlight. There's a new bill that requires districts to provide information about dual credit programs and financial assistance available to reduce the cost of dual credit programs. Bill HB 1228 creates grant programs for establishing or expanding dual language and tribal language education programs. I'm going to continue on with 1956 directs the Department of Health to develop, implement, and maintain a statewide drug overdose prevention and awareness campaign. So that'll be coming more in the schools. Similarly, there's one directs the Office of Superintendent of the OSPI in collaboration with specific entities to develop an allied health professions career and technical education program. There's a bill passed that updates and increases the per pupil amounts for materials, supplies, and operating costs in state prototypical school funding formulas beginning the 2023-2024 school year. So there'll be an increase in the funding for that module that we talked about with Dr. Perez. Safe school plans must now include how substitute teachers and other temporary employees receive the necessary information about the plans, including school safety policies and procedures and the 3 basic functional drill responses. So I'm assuming they just felt that the substitute teachers or temporary teachers didn't know how to get that information. So this bill is about that, on making sure that they're aware of those. And then Bill 5670 allows students who have completed their 10th grade year to enroll in Running Start starting in the summer term instead of waiting until the fall. HB 1946 establishes behavioral health scholarship program under the Washington Health Corps. That's exciting. And HB 2112 requires institutions of higher education to provide opioid and fentanyl prevention education to all students, specifies that naloxone and fentanyl test strips must be available at multiple locations on campus. I know that we already have, I know for sure we have naloxone. I'm actually not sure about the fentanyl test strips, if we have those already. Do you know?
I'm not sure if we have test strips, but
Yeah.
we certainly are in compliance with the Narcan training and
Yeah,
board
the
policy
Narcan,
around that.
right.
But I'll make a note to check in with Tim Taff about where we're at in that process.
SB 5462, this is actually the one that I brought up a couple meetings ago, directs the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction to review and update relevant state learning standards at all grade levels to include histories, contributions, and perspectives of LGBTQ people. And then it continues to adopt inclusive curricula and select diverse, equitable, inclusive, age-appropriate instructional materials that include the histories, contributions, and perspectives of historically marginalized and underrepresented groups. Each educational service district, it directs each educational service district to designate a regional inclusive curricula coordinator and establish a regional youth advisory council for inclusive curricula and equity. And then the last couple that I wanted to highlight, staffing ratios for paraeducators, office supports, and non-instructional aides are increased. The intent of this additional funding is to assist school districts in hiring additional support staff or providing the staff they already employ with better wages. So those are the education ones I wanted to highlight. And then I just wanted to mention my favorite non-education one was in agriculture. HB 1153 prohibits octopus farming in the state of Washington. So that's my legislative update.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go to the cookies and conversation. What board members could be available for that?
Is it the 18th or the 19th?
18th? Okay,
Hi,
I got
18th.
19th.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys can refresh.
Okay. So what board members would like to attend that?
What's the date and time again?
The 18th, and they're going to do it during both lunch. And I think, is there about a half an hour between the lunches? So if you want to go early or the later lunch,
Yeah, I'd like to go.
okay?
Count me in.
Yeah, I'll try to make it.
Okay,
I can go.
okay.
You and I've done it a bunch, Ken, so
Yes.
whoever,
Yes. And we can have more than two,
More than
we
two.
just got to go through the process of a open public meeting. If there is more directors that would like to go, that's no problem. We just got to, like I said, let them know. So probably get back with Marissa, she's got it initially right now, so. Okay. Excuse me for a minute while I'm doing the refresh. May. Reschedule the May 20th preschool board visit to May 21st. Everybody's good with that? We have our regular board meeting.
One comment about the regular board meetings.
Okay.
Originally, when you established the school board calendar last year, we determined that the two meetings in May, the 13th and the 28th, would be regular board meetings on Monday at 1 p.m. And I think that was to accommodate spring sports and different things going on. I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that because it's a little different than our
Set
typical
time,
practice.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's still okay with the board?
I mean, I would greatly appreciate if we did daytime versus nighttime. It's just, spring is really hard.
So we'll work with Sebastian and Katie to make sure that all that works out. But wanted you to be aware of that. It's on the calendar, but it's a little different. Okay?
Okay.
And then the other item there was about a calendar check with each of you about a possible week that we could pick a day for school board retreat. Do you all want to take a look at your calendars for a moment and see when in May we might be able to get folks together?
Is this a weekday or weekend?
We typically do it on a weekday, maybe like a 9 to 3 kind of day has typically been what it's been.
Do you just want us to start throwing out some options?
Yeah, if there's anything that lines up for folks.
May 16th works for me, or May 15th.
Either one of those work out.
Either of those is fine for me. Yeah.
Yeah, the 16th probably better.
16th is good for us.
16.
Okay. So right now, we will plan for May 16th.
Okay, we'll get the agenda started, Ken, and share that with you and
Okay.
kind of co-construct that.
An all-day session, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any more board discussion at this moment?
What were the board, the 13th and the 22nd? They're at 1 o'clock?
Yes, that's for me.
The 13th and the 27th, is that what you said?
I think it's the 28th. 27? 28. It's on a Tuesday because of
Oh,
the holiday.
Memorial Day is
13th
Monday.
and tomorrow.
Okay? We will go on to then required approvals. Do I have a motion for the required approvals?
I motion to approve those required approvals.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carries. Required approvals for accounts payable warrants 2.
I motion to approve required approvals, accounts payable warrants 2.
I'll second.
And I will be abstaining from this vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. Okay. Now we will go on to superintendent informational items.
Just a couple of items tonight. We want to start with Jennifer Garza. She's going to talk with you about a new concept that they've been working on around kindergarten, and a really good idea that she wants to share with you and make the board aware of, because we imagine you might get questions from the community about a slight change in practice.
So this is an idea we've been trying to get some traction on for the last few years. And then at the beginning of this school year, the elementary principals actually brought it up, and so I spent some time doing some research. So some of the school districts in Washington State that do this call it slow start. But kind of going along with our strategic plan, we decided to call it strong start. So it only applies to kindergarten, and it is having a different start to their school year. And so some of the reasons behind doing a strong start is most importantly for those teachers to build the relationships with the students. And so instead of having all 18 students come in on the very first day, and some of them never having experienced school, it is letting like half of the students come the first day and then half of the students come the next day, and they would do that for the first couple weeks of school, so that teachers can build those relationships with the students. It's a smaller number of kids, so they can learn the routines, they can learn how lunch and breakfast work, they can have smaller groups even when they go to specials, so they get to know those teachers. And then it also gives teachers time to get to know the students. What are their strengths? What are their backgrounds? What are their interests? And so really just working on building that relationship, and then also building their relationships among their peers. Because some of them, it may be their first time coming to school, or even if they have gone to a preschool, now they're with a new mix of kids. So hopefully making a friend or friends during those first couple weeks. Another thing that we have really seen an increase in over the last few years with preschool is just the number of students that are transitioning to kindergarten that maybe have like language needs. So whether they're maybe sometimes learning 2 languages, 3 languages, or maybe they're just not strong in their home language. Some of them are very, very shy, and so that could be for a variety of reasons, but we have a lot of kids, even in our preschool, that have been there for 6 months now, and they still won't talk. So just some really shy kids. Some of the behaviors that are going to be going into kindergarten, they're currently in preschool, and then sometimes we get kids that we don't know about the behaviors. And so again, giving teachers the opportunity to be aware of those and see what type of supports they need to put in place. And when you have a class of 20 kids, that sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming, versus if you have half your students, then you can really put those supports in place so that they're ready for the rest of the school year, instead of maybe spending a couple months trying to figure those behaviors out. Just sometimes the grouping of kids that end up together, sometimes it's just not a good fit. And so the last few years we've had to move kids to different classrooms after the first couple weeks, or sometimes even month. And so sometimes if we can see that earlier on, then we can make that change before they really get set in that classroom. And then just the idea to go slow to go fast. One kindergarten teacher said, if we do this, we're gonna lose a week of instruction with the kids. But I tried to reassure her that that wasn't the case, that really, if you can build those relationships, get those procedures in place, those routines, those expectations, then you're gonna be able to run the rest of the year. So it might feel like you're losing a few days, but in the long run, I think it will make a huge impact. And then also, there's lots of testing that goes on in the beginning of the school year, even for kindergartners. And so with a smaller class size, that would give the teachers, again, the opportunity to get some of that testing done without having their full classroom full of kiddos. So this is just an example of what it could look like. The kids would, before in early August, we would divide the kids into like Group A and Group B. And so Group A would go, you can see on the first week of September, Group A would go on Tuesday and Thursday, and Group B would go on Wednesday and Friday. Then the following week, it would be the same thing. So they would go Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday, Friday. On that Monday, the kindergarten teachers would go to their regular building PLCs, so they were still with their regular staff. And then after that meeting, they would come and all of the kindergarten teachers would get together. And our special ed, Heidi Wagner would be there, and the behavior specialist would be there. I would be there. A couple of members of my preschool staff would be there. And the teachers would bring information that they have previously filled out about their students so that we could, if we need to develop a behavior plan, if we need to help support them with some accommodations, if we just need to help them brainstorm some ideas, they would bring that information. We would have like a kindergarten PLC. And then if we needed to make any changes at that time, we would make it for that following week. Kindergarten teachers also have to do what's called Walk Kids. So that's a 30-minute like a conference, parent-teacher conference that they have before the school year starts. And so they would do that. That's been going on for several years. So that would still stay in place, and they would do that on the first 2 days of school. And then after that PLC on that day, there would be a time for them to finish any conferences that they hadn't completed previously. One of the things that the information they would be collecting, they would do it for every student, but when they came to that large group meeting, we wouldn't necessarily talk about every student, obviously, because there's a lot of them. But they would still fill that information out on every student, and it just has to do with a lot like kind of the non-academic skills. So not necessarily their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s, but are they able to share? Are they able to take turns? Are they able to speak? Or is there speech concerns? Is there behavior concerns? And so we would call that an intake form that we've created that aligns with the Walk Kids assessment, which is data they would have to be collecting anyway for the state testing. And then we would also have an agenda in place that would be like a purposeful agenda, not just come together and complain about kids or have a gripe session, but really a focused conversation about how do we support the students in kindergarten. So that is just something that I met with the elementary principals, and then I don't know, did you give them the one-page? Okay, so there's a one-page document that then principals went back and shared with kindergarten teachers. And then we will be working to produce a similar one-page document that would go out to families. So kindergarten registration is the week after spring break. So we're hoping to have that ready to give to parents then, so they have several months of notice that their kindergarten year is going to start a little bit different than it has in the previous years. So any questions about our strong start?
How do the kindergarten teachers feel about it?
Like I say, the one was just a little bit concerned because she thought maybe they were losing time, but otherwise there's been a lot of positive feedback that they think it will be a really good thing. Just because the last few years we've had some harder starts, so they're hoping this will help that.
Is there any schools around that are doing something like this?
Warden has done it in the past, Wahluke has done it in the past, and then Quincy's doing something similar, but they're only doing 1 day of it, and then Kelso on the other side of the state, and there was 2 other schools that I got information from.
Okay.
Okay, it's good. Okay.
I think it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The clicker, Rigo.
Now, Rigo, technology, we get you on now.
Hello, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Rodrigo Zunan. I'm the Director of Technology here for the Othello School District. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we've been doing this entire year. It's been a busy year. So first off, I'll go off when showing who my staff is. My staff consists of Morelia Rodriguez, who is our building secretary. She's also part-time CTE, so she handles all of the orders, all of the Skywards, anything that deals with that kind of stuff. She's what we call the Skyward guru here at the Othello School District. Adam Perez, he's our IT operations specialist. He's the one that's in charge of networking, servers, and other applications that are out there in the environment. Ben Schuler, he's our support tier 2. He's the one that handles the streaming of the videos, the social media, the blurring out of videos for public records requests. He does a lot of stuff with Google Admin. Super smart guy. Bodie Washburn, Thomas Ramirez, and Juan Orozco. They're our tech ones. They're the ones that are, we call them our grunt workers. They go out there and they go out and they'll service any teachers that are having some issues that are straight level 1 computer fixes that they go out and they try to troubleshoot. So just to give you a brief synopsis of what our environment is like, this is some of the software that the hardware in our environment. Some of the things that I want to touch on is that we have like over 800 desktop computers here in the district. Basically, if you're a staff member or a teacher or a custodian, like in a workroom type area, you guys have a computer. It's not a Chromebook of that type. It's a straight up computer with Windows, and it's able to print if they need something to be printed out. Some things we also have here are we service 45 servers in our environment. We run that with a thing called VMware. It's kind of a virtual environment, so it cuts down on the usage of. So basically what it is we have this really big server that houses a lot of other servers inside of it. So we're not using as much resources as far as like electricity and all that stuff. Everything is just housed in a single unit. So it's a pretty cool device. We have over 6,000 Chromebooks in the environment. So Chromebooks are what students have at the high school and middle school for take home. And then we also have at all the elementary schools, we have a bunch of Chromebooks that are in carts that each teacher has to provide to the students when they're doing any online curriculum that they do in their classrooms. 825 camera views. That's, we have a lot of cameras in the district. Each school has a lot of cameras. So camera views can go from 1 view per camera up to 4 views per camera. So we're probably looking at almost close to 500 actual cameras, but about 825 views. Some things about with these extra views on the cameras is that 3 views will be working, but then 1 of them won't. So usually we have to go and troubleshoot what's going on with that. And sometimes a reboot of the camera would actually work. If not, then we have to replace the camera. Here's some of the software that we take care of here in the environment. A lot of these applications are ran by like our CTE programs, like Adobe Acrobat, Premiere Pro. We have a videography class here at the school district, and they run Adobe Premiere Pro. They run Photoshop and some of the other business classes. They also run things called G-Matrix Certiport, which allows them to get certified in Microsoft Office. So that's a pretty cool program that we have here at the district for them. We have a single sign-on called Clever. Clever houses a lot of our online curriculum. So basically it's a one-stop shop dashboard. So when the students log into Clever, they'll have online curriculum that's there that they can click on, like HMH Ed, and it'll take them directly to HMH Ed. It will sign them on. If they have their password associated with that, it will sign them on automatically, as well as STEM scopes. We house things like Google Admin. So we have Google Admin, we have Docs, we have Classrooms that we all support in the IT department. We have a thing called Mobile Device Manager. That's an MDM. That's Cisco Meraki is what we use here. Cisco Meraki allows us to manage iPads in our district. And also we can, in the future, if we ever go to Cisco Meraki switches, we're able to house that on that dashboard as well. Things we're looking into is Jamf. Jamf is another program that I'll get into here in a bit and what that's about. We also do Parent Square. Some of the things I didn't mention on there, because there's a lot that we do, Chrome OSs, Windows, the Windows environment, Skyward, Mac OSs, iOSs. There's a variety of things that we do in our department. And so going on to this year, just for tickets alone, we have closed out with preventative maintenance. Now, preventative maintenance is what we take as proactive steps to make sure that the environment is running well. So this is like server checks, network checks. We're also doing camera checks to make sure the cameras are recording, making sure the cameras are actually active and not offline. Because one thing we try to avoid is if something happens to a kid, we want to make sure that there's video footage if it's in that area where we're catching them, where we can catch to see what happened. The important one here, though, is the without permitted maintenance. So this is what staff members put in. So this can go from like a projector being down, a document camera being down, you know, a computer not working. So these are the stuff that my staff goes out there and they go and service for the staff members. So this was done, I took these last numbers on March 21st. So at that time, the current open tickets that we have are 46. A lot of these ones that we have that are open are usually like staff member requesting hardware that we have to order. So we're trying to, you know, try to fill those as fast as we can. So one thing that we do in-house, partially in-house, is Chromebook fixes. So far this year, we have fixed 397 Chromebooks. I kind of listed down the breakdowns from each school. We're trying to get a handle on the middle school. I have some ideas that I'm probably to run by their principal to see how we can cut those numbers down. So these are the ones that we have purchased in the past that their warranty had expired. So now we're having to buy parts to fix those Chromebooks. So if you see at the very bottom, like out of the 6,000 Chromebooks, that's about 6.6%. So it's not high yet. We're in the double digits, so I think we're okay so far. So like I said, we've actually been a really busy year. I'm going to list out some of the projects that we've completed. One of the completions that we've done was a whole network upgrade. So basically, this is the backbone that transfers the information from servers to computers and how the environment talks to each other. So we have replaced over 100 network switches in our environment. I think I counted it today, and it was about 134 switches, and about only 6 to 9 of them are not end of life. So the issue with end of life is when it's end of life, they don't receive any more updates, so it leaves you vulnerable to security attacks. So we made sure that was a priority that we had to get done this year. We also replaced the network access points. So this little device that's right here with the little blue light on that, we had replaced up here. We replaced 294 of those, along with 2 wireless controllers. So the wireless controllers we had to replace because they were also on the verge of being end of life. So any new access points that we purchased wouldn't work on what we had for wireless controllers. So we had to get those replaced. And so with that, now we're able to buy newer access points to hopefully that can actually increase concurrent users on there, so that way we can have more people connect to an access point without issue. The access doorbells, you guys probably heard about that from Tim's presentation. We got those installed as well. So we have 9 of those going, along with 23 video phones. Those video phones are really cool because when you push the button, the person's face comes up on the screen. And I believe Pete actually tested one of those out at one of the schools where he covered the access doorbell, and the receptionist says, "Sorry, sir, I can't see who you are. Can you please remove your hand?" So it's actually allowed them to take that step and asking those questions. So right now, currently at our schools, those doors are locked from those entrances. So it's pretty cool. This year too, we actually gave teachers an extra monitor to do their work. A lot of the with dual language teachers, they like to have like the English paper on the one screen and then be able to translate on the other screen, so they'd be able to type instead of having to flip back and forth. So that was another really cool thing the district allowed us to do for staff members. But with giving those extra monitors to those staff members, we also had to replace the computers in some of those areas. Even though they were past their 4-year cycle, which is kind of the policy that we have, we've actually bought newer computers with higher processors that allows it for better speeds. But it also included an extra video card in there that allows us to hook up that second one. So if you look at these computers today that are in the classrooms, now they're able to run 2 monitors plus a projector. So basically they have 3 screens. So that was another big thing that we did. The middle school counseling area, that was refinished this year. And so my staff members were out there moving the 10 staff members, and I guess it was like a musical chairs that were going on over there. So my staff spent basically the entire day there moving people around. So that was another thing that we did. The implementation of Clover card readers. Those are a new point of sales that we're trying to do. So these are little devices that you'll see like probably at our games now, but they allow you to take debit cards and stuff where you can tap now and stuff, tap to pay. It also does Apple Pay, so that we never had that before. So it allows us to do all that. And it also allows us to be compliant with, is it CPI, right? Yeah. So now we'll be compliant with that as well. So we also have distributed 300 Chromebooks to our staff members. You know, it was one of the things that we sat through in one of our tech committee teams meetings that we had with like David Spencer, Jessica Shank, Paul Auersland, and we ran a survey on how teachers felt about their Chromebooks, right? So teachers, when they came back, it's like, oh, it's too small. So we got them an actual bigger screen. So instead of the 11-inch screen that it used to have, now they have a 14-inch screen. So we did a survey on things that would help them out in their position, and a bigger Chromebook was one of their needs that they wanted. So, or needed, I guess, not wanted. So the district allowed us to do that for them. Some of the things that we currently have in progress, because those were completed, but now what we have in progress right now is Raptor Technology. You guys might have heard Tim talk about that as well. That allows a person to slip in their driver's license into a device, and then the system would come back with whether that person's okay to be on school grounds and so forth. It doesn't do a full background check, but it does a background check for, I think, like sex offenders or something like that. So that's what we're currently working on. Each school has their device except for the high school, and all their accounts have been set up. Now it's just developing procedures and protocols on what staff members do when somebody does come across that they're not supposed to be on school grounds. So that's something that we're currently working on as well. We're working on a new help desk system. It's a new help desk system that we're looking at. It's called Incident IQ. It's a really cool help desk system that now allows us to tie into our assets. So like, let's say if President Ken Johnson was in a classroom and he has a computer, 2 monitors, a projector, and all that stuff, it will show up on his account. And so now he can go and click on like the projector's having problems and type out what's going on. It will send us a ticket, and then from there we can see how many times that projector has had a ticket for, and we can be proactive now, pulling it down like, hey, this is a problem, projector, let's just replace it all instead of trying to, fix it, blow the air out and all that stuff. Let's just fix it, and so that way he doesn't have any more problems. So it's a pretty cool system that we're currently looking at and trying to implement by the next school year. So, as mentioned, the JAMP software installation. JAMP software is a new mobile device manager that we're looking at. The reason why we wanted to look at this software is because our videography class, we are giving them Mac Studios, where because we felt that in the current business world, right, if somebody's gonna do videography, they're either gonna be working with a Mac system or with the Windows system. So usually Adobe Premiere Pro is a big thing for like making movies, but so is Final Cut, which is on the Mac operating system. So we felt the best way to give the kids the best experience is to run a lab simultaneously with 15 MacBooks or 15 Mac computers and 15 regular Windows devices. So I think they're going to be starting to develop curriculum around that next school year. So JAMP allows us to control like what the Mac system has, and so it allows us to control settings. It allows us to really lock it down to where the kids can steal what they want, but we're still safe on our end from the outside world. So as mentioned, we're introducing Macs into our environment. Right now, my guys are currently visiting all the schools and trying to fix all the cameras that are having issues. Some of them are like from the sun hitting the camera so much that it's developing like a blurry view. So they're going out and changing all the bubbles on those cameras so that way we can get better view on our kids and who's coming in and out of our campuses. So they've been doing that for the last 2 weeks. I also have a staff member working on 280 Chromebooks that we got for classified staff. So we're going through, we're kind of doing the etching of those machines. They're etched already, right, Juan? Yeah. So they're already etched. So now it's developing a plan on how to deliver them to the classified staff. So members like, custodians, custodians, paras, they're all going to get the same Chromebooks as teachers have. So they're going to get nice 14-inch Chromebooks. And then what I didn't have listed on here too, I'm currently in the process of running through a security audit. So like I'm running through our Active Directory and our network to see who all has access rights. And then I'm going to be monitoring that to see, to make sure that we're kept safe from the outside world as well. Sorry, I know this is a lot. So some of the future projects that we have that we were thinking of is after-school programs for gaming. This year, I've already been hit up twice by 2 teachers about wanting to do an after-school program for students that are not in a sport to do some kind of after-school gaming. So we've been testing that out in the IT department. We got it working. So now it's trying to see like where the interest is at and how we can probably provide those kids with something that they enjoy doing. So. Surplus of all recycled equipment in the IT building. We haven't done this for the last couple of years, and there's quite a few. So I'm hoping by next board meeting, I'll be able to draft a resolution for you guys for surplus, so we can get that stuff all out of there. It's a lot. I think I'm going to have the executive team come through in a couple of weeks, and they're going to assess the area, and I'll present to them where I think that we can make some changes and all that stuff for our inventory, and we can go from there. This is the big one. So the new streaming devices, equipment for the boardroom. So since COVID, the current system that we currently have is no longer in business. So we're trying to find a new way of streaming the boardroom. I actually talked to a couple of directors today, and they've had some pretty good ideas and stuff, and maybe something that I'll probably run by Dr. Perez and the rest of the team. I think one of them was they run their board meetings off of Google Meet, but then they stream it straight to YouTube. So the only issue with that is we don't do everything from here. So if we do something like graduation, that's not going to work for that. So we have to find something that is able to be mobile and be able to do what we want it to do for the district. So we're kind of researching that and stuff and see where we go. Penetration testing and network vulnerability testing. So we've done this in the past where we've hired a third-party consultant, and they will try to quote-unquote hack our system to see if they can break through our firewall. They haven't been successful yet, so it's been good. But we haven't done that for a couple of years, so we need to do that again to make sure that we are okay from out there. The network vulnerability testing is we'll bring somebody on the inside, and they will scan our entire network, and they will tell us where we're vulnerable at, whether we're missing updates or if there's open ports that shouldn't be open. We'll run that hopefully soon. Re-enrolling our iPads. So our iPads, that number is now lower because I've actually got about 50 of them re-enrolled already. But that's something that we need to put them back on our Meraki system, so in case they get lost, we're able to track them once they get on the internet. So that's something I've been working on as well. And last but not least, on that future project will be upgrading our environment to Windows 11. I'm not sure how many of you guys played with Windows 11 yet, but Windows 10 is actually going to be coming end of life on October of 2025. So we're looking at ways to move everybody into Windows 11. So that's something we'll be doing in the future as well. So one of the things we really tried to focus on this year was cybersecurity. It's really about keeping the data safe and what we can do to prevent those type of things. So what we've done this year is that we have implemented a two-factor authentication for the IT staff members. Basically what this does is that when we log into like Google or something like that, it will, hey, is this really you? I'm gonna text you a code to your cell phone. And that's why they know it's actually us. We do not allow staff members to become local administrators on their computers. This prevents malware and all that stuff from installing on their computers and taking control and infecting other computers as well. During that whole network upgrade that we did, we also upgraded our firewall to the latest firewall for Cisco. We installed another product called Malwarebytes. So Malwarebytes actually detects malware along with our Windows Defender. So we have two antiviruses and malware that are running on the computers to make sure that we're not letting anything slip through the cracks. Every year we re-image teachers and staff computers, so that way anything that might have been on that computer, it'll be erased and we'll start fresh for the school year. One of the big ones is our IT, our IT admin accounts. So like myself and other members, our actual account that we use for computers is not the admin account. So when we want to get onto like servers, and we actually will use a separate account that doesn't have email. The biggest thing that we have, like a threat wise, is always like these phishing emails that come through. So our main admin accounts don't have any emails tied to them, so that won't be something that will come through us on that. So that's something that we've implemented in the IT department. So that's another thing that we've been doing. You guys are probably saying that, and that's a lot, right? So, but the reason being is because the school districts have been getting hit hard with that kind of stuff. I think the graph here shows that 9.2 million devices that were part of this survey have been hit. And it kind of breaks it down. Well, if you look, over 80% has been towards education. So if you break that down even further, that's 7.4 million devices that were hit for attacks. So that's what we're trying to prevent. Other things that we've done this year is that we've also do public records requests. So when somebody calls and asks for a video for a student, about a student, we have to blur out all the students except for that person's student. So we've done about 20 plus videos so far. We've done now 17 board meetings this year. School conferences. We just got to finish with the Amazing Shake, career showcase. So yeah, we do a lot. That's what I got. Any questions?
Any questions for Rigo?
I don't have a question, but just gratitude for what you guys do. I know that every week we show up, and whether it's Juan or whoever is here, doing the work, I just really appreciate it, because I know it's, I don't want to say a long, boring meeting, but sometimes it's just like they endure to the end and take care of all of our needs. So I just really appreciate all the hard work and effort that you guys put in to make all of these things possible.
Thank you.
It really is like the behind the scenes people that make things run. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll jump on that too, because technology's definitely not my strong point by no means. But I'm thankful that you were able to categorize everything and let us know what everything you cover and stuff. But yeah, thanks for keeping the mics on and security system and for informing us on the malware, because I know that is a big issue amongst schools stuff. So I feel pretty confident that we're well protected.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that Malwarebytes is that it does provide a dashboard. So we're able to see like if there's any computers that are not in compliance, we're able to push new software out to it, and it also gives a report on what systems have been hit, like have gotten malware but has been quarantined. So I believe we also have it tied to our help desk ticket, I think, to where it will go and create a ticket for us to go and view that computer. So yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
And that system monitors the 6,000.
So that the Google admin is how we manage those Chromebooks. So for instance, like let's say if a teacher wanted an app pushed to it, we can go onto the Google admin and we can actually download the app and push it to those. The same thing with Cisco Meraki. So when it comes with iPads, let's say we have a set of iPads for the library. I think there's 15 in there. and let's say Tiffany Fultz is in there and says, hey, I need this endless alphabet application on these, we can go on our back end and actually push that application to those iPads without having to step foot through Wajitas. So it's, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you for all the work you do.
Oh, thanks.
And your crew.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'll pass the message off to them. Thank you, guys.
Those those 6,000 Chromebooks, if one goes missing, can you track it down or?
Yeah, so-
through that same program you were just talking about?
Yeah, so that Google Admin allows us to put what is called a stolen OU or organizational unit. So once we put it in there, that gets sent through our Lightspeed web filter, and it will say, this is property of the Othello School District, please return to the Othello School District. But the only downside to that is it has to be online. So if somebody doesn't put it online, we can't track it until that happens. And so, so that's how we were able to track that. So we've retrieved a couple of them in the past when that were stolen from somebody's backpack or ended up in Lynn, Washington. So
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah.
Oh, cool. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to express my gratitude coming from a student at OHS. So I know you talked about the videography class, how they'll have access to IMAX. I just want to humbly thank you for that, because my best friend who was in that same class as I was, he was working on a project for 2 hours straight, and the computer shut down on him, and he lost all of his 2 hours of progress. But with the access of the new IMAX, he'll be able to have a better opportunity, and the other students at the high school who will take the videography class will be able to make better quality movies.
Well, let them know that that whole lab is being replaced. So they'll have 15 brand new Macs and 15 brand new machines. So hopefully that doesn't happen to them anymore.
Wow.
So
Definitely will. Thank you.
all right.
Okay, any more for superintendent informational items? Okay, so we will go on to Desert Oasis High School report.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Josh Tovar. Thank you, Rigo, for driving me crazy with the technology report, man. Wow. I was in the zone, too. All right, so first of all, I want to start off by introducing my staff that's here. I have Miss Brunetta, Miss Mendoza, Miss Alvarado, Miss Tovar, and Mrs. Garza, who are here to support our presentation tonight. Again, I am Josh Tovar. I don't know all of you guys, but this is my 20th year in the district, 15 as an administrator, and 6 as a teacher at McFarland Middle School. So what my goal is today is just to kind of give you guys a rundown of what it is that we do at our school. We are the other high school in town. So again, what I hope to do is just provide the community and the school board with information about our school, so that by the time you guys leave tonight, you have a much better understanding of what it is that we do at our school and why we exist. If you have any questions for me throughout the presentation, please do not hesitate to ask. So I'll go ahead and get us going here. So this image here is not the most attractive or appealing, but it does represent what we do. It's an image of trees. We have 2 different instructional programs, and one of them is our traditional day program. I'm going to go into detail with each of these a little later in the presentation. We have our ALE, which stands for Alternative Learning Experience, and then at the foundation of everything that we do is the social emotional part of a child, and the relationships that we build with them. Without that, we have no tree, right? So our staff consists of a total of 15 classified and certificated staff members. They're all listed on the bottom, but I'd like to recognize everybody from our custodian to the young lady, Mrs. Silva, who serves us breakfast and lunch every single day and greets us with a smile. Again, the one thing to highlight, I went back to 2019 and kind of looked at our enrollment. When I started, it was back in 2017-18 at Desert Oasis High School, and we've kind of grown. This trimester, we're at the highest we've ever been with 156 students. And again, when you guys came out to visit, you probably felt a little bit crowded. Yeah, so did we. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So this is what our school makeup is. If you want to know how many freshmen, sophomores, seniors are there. I am going a little bit quick because I am respectful of your time, and I'm aware of that. So I just want to cover everything.
Josh, could we step back to that slide?
Yes,
I want to touch on a couple of things for the board. One that Jennifer shared about why we're doing the Strong Start. in how some of those lessons we learned about A/B schedules and bringing parents in and meeting with them happened right at the end of the pandemic. Those were lessons we learned that we could maybe do our work better when we're past that. And I think that's a really good example of people thinking about, well, when we did it during the pandemic, it worked really well for families and kids. Why wouldn't we do it now? This, I think, the evidence of the count up to 156 is evidence of that as well, because we discovered, hey, when we do alternative ed, when we have online learning opportunities for kids and families, we can capture more kids. It's not that the need went up dramatically, it's that we're just doing it a little better and it works for more kids and families. And I think it's important to highlight some of the lessons we learned coming through that miserable experience that we all had.
And one of our goals in this particular image here is to be able to capture or provide an educational environment for any student that comes through our door, regardless of where they're coming from and what kind of background they come from. So we currently have 41 seniors at our school, 32 juniors, and 55 is the largest number of sophomores we've ever had, and 28 freshmen. That's quite a bit. Our goal is always to kind of keep our freshmen at the high school, but because of the need, they are currently at our school, and we're doing the best we can to service them. If you kind of look at the makeup of our school, we have two different branches of alternative learning education. We have students that come on campus, and then we have students that don't come on campus because they're working full-time, they're medically fragile. Some of these are parents already, and they work full-time as well. So our day program consists of 68% of our makeup, which is 107 kids, and then the other two are our other two programs. The image on the bottom left-hand, this was something that came up during the right before the pandemic, and again, this was our instructional kind of image that represented what we wanted to do. The bottom layer being Othello High School, and then from there we were kind of just going up through what types of programs that we could offer, so that we could reach our ultimate goal, which was graduation and students not dropping out. So I'm going to get right into kind of our OSD priorities. Obviously, multilingual, our ELL students, PLC, feedback to staff members. We also have we're a school of improvement, so we're on improvement because of graduation rates. We went down from 63% to, you'll see that in the images coming up. This last year was about 52%. So we're still on school improvement, and our goal is to improve every trimester by 5%, our attendance. Math growth goal is any student that takes math for more than one trimester to ensure that they are that they reach a 2 grade levels of growth. And then credit recovery is everything through our ALE program. Every student that comes through that program, we would like them to pass at least 2 classes. And you're going to see data on all of this stuff in this presentation. In the last area, these are just some data points I'm going to touch on. There'll be more than that. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an image. And then I kind of linked everything up here. And I'm not going to read all this to you, nor do I expect you to read it, but these 3 areas, multilingual students, one of the biggest things that we did this year to try to address our multilingual students, and we have a high population, as you'll see in the presentation, is we implemented a tier reading class, which our goal is every multilingual student in our building that at one point or another, either one trimester or 2, they take this stand-up tier reading class with Mrs. Mendoza, where they're specifically learning strategies to be able to exit program and pass the WIDA assessment. In the area of PLC, we're collaborating hand in hand with OHS. Everything they're doing, they're kind of the big brother, and we're trying to stay with them. We're allowing them to lead the pack in standards-based grading so that we can learn from everything that they're doing, and then we kind of ride with them. So again, today we had a PLC on multilingual strategy, so we continue to plan through the summer with them as well. Our staff is always invited to their PLC meetings and their professional development, and my teachers are part of their PLC teams as well. So in the area of feedback, my goal is always to be in every classroom at least twice per month, and in some classrooms it's much more than that, depending on what the need is. So again, these are kind of how we tie our district vision as well with our own school improvement items as well. So attendance is going to be something that we focus on probably till we exist or cease to exist. Attendance, obviously, we're always focusing on how can we improve attendance, and then our second area of growth is math. How can we grow in the area of math? I will say prior to 2 years ago, we had not had students at DOHS pass the math state assessment, we are now having students pass the math state assessment. And the last one is credit retrieval. When you think about why do we need credit retrieval, is we need it for the purpose of kids fall behind academically, and we need a way to catch them up. And our credit retrieval program, you'll see in the data, it's working. It's having a humongous impact, and to the point where we now have other alternative schools in the state of Washington coming down to visit us to kind of look at our model. So it's something that we're kind of proud of. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to give this time to our school counselor, Ms. Tovar. She's going to share a little bit about these images.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Tovar. I'm the school counselor at Desert Oasis, and we really wanted to show images, and hopefully you're able to, we're able to capture the climate and culture that we've tried to cultivate at DOHS. This first image is us doing PD at the beginning of the year, and like Tovar said, oftentimes we do PD in collaborations with the high school, but this was just our all staff at the beginning of the year. The next 5 to 6 slides will show some of the electives that we offer at DOHS. This first slide is our guitar class. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago with our OSSI money, we were able to purchase 15 to 17 guitars, and we've offered Guitar 1 last year and this year, and next year we're hoping to add on Guitar 2. Our robotics class is a really popular class. It's a hands-on class where our students are, throughout the course, are creating our robots and courses for our robots, and our kids do very well with hands-on courses like these. Next images are of our PE courses. We've been really creative with the space we have. We're able to do volleyball, play catch, archery, spike ball, bunch of sports. And those of you who were at our board visit got to see this is our weight room, but got to see our new rowers and bikes that we were also able to purchase with our OSSI money. Here they are. This is our computer applications class that Mrs. Davis teaches. With the help of Amy, we were able to purchase, I believe, 25 laptops for our students. This course, our students are able to work for a Microsoft Office certification, and we really want to grow our business pathway at DOHS. So this year we offered computer applications. We're hoping to grow that with computer applications 2 and maybe an intro to business course next year. Every year we offer 3 parent engagement nights, 1 per quarter. We just really want a fun, safe place for families to gather and have positive experiences with each other and with teachers. We offer dinner and childcare, and then we go out to breakout rooms where we'll educate our parents on Skyward, reading transcripts. We've done signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety. This last one, we taught signs and symptoms of drug and alcohol use. So, and we always have like giveaways with different minute to win it games that Mendoza always has stuff to give away. These are some of the games we played with our families. So it's really fun. Like we said, like we just want to create a positive place for families to come have fun and socialize in a positive way with our teachers. We have our annual Thanksgiving community lunch, and this started way before Josh and I were at DOHS, and it's just we invite our parents, our students in the community to come and eat, and the district staff and the board members are always cutting up turkey and serving our families. It's just a great tradition that we hope to carry on for forever. Every month we have a student recognition assembly where our teachers nominate a student for either personal growth or academic excellence. During these assemblies, we also honor perfect attendance. And Mr. Frazier's done a really good job connecting with our community restaurants and businesses to help provide like prizes or incentives for our students. So STCU is one, Time Out, Pizza Factory, Frutaletas, or just to name a few of the awards that our kids get every month. These are images of our families being present at the recognition assemblies. The past 2 assemblies, we really wanted to increase the school spirit at our school, so we, with the help of Aisha, our SAP at our school, students assistant professional, her and our RAD program have really helped bring in fun ideas to really get our kids engaged and moving, and again, just to lift the school spirit in our school. Oftentimes it's boys versus girls or staff versus students. It's always a good time. Ms. Arianda was able to take a lot of our migrant students and their families to a MEP conference where students were able to hear from keynote speakers who look like them, who have walked in their shoes and have similar experiences as them. So that was pretty cool. And then like Mr. Tovar touched on, Ms. Mendoza's Tier 1 reading program. This is in the back room, and just an efforts to help our students with their reading, listening, writing, and speaking skills. We incorporated leadership this year, and Ms. Garza has done a fantastic job with that. Our students every Tuesday to Thursday are at the preschool and at Scrutiny in classrooms, and are doing a fantastic job. They've also been in partnership with Othello Food Bank and have offered their time with them as well. Again, leadership has put on Spirit Weeks, and these are just a couple of pictures of our students dressing up. This year, we also started a RAD club, thanks to Aisha, and again, she's our student assistance professional that we get from the ESD, and she started, I don't know if you guys are familiar with SAD. I was in SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions. Well, we're Rattlers Against Destructive Decisions, and she, like I said, our meetings are well attended, and I think I can speak for the kids where I've really felt like this program has helped them increase their sense of belonging within the school and amongst each other. So we're really proud of the work that our teachers and our students have done. And then this is a youth summit that they just went to on Friday. That's it. Now the fun stuff, Mr. Tovar.
So again, the whole purpose of the images is, in case you've never been to our school, we just wanted to provide you guys with an image and kind of some background so you guys can kind of get a feel for the culture. But again, it's just like any other traditional high school. So these are some of the data points I'm going to be going through, and I'm going to jump into them and try to be as specific as possible. So I'll start off with our graduation rates, because that's what it's all about. So as you guys can see in this image, dating all the way back to 2014, again, that's because that's when the majority of us got there. As you look at the graduation rates, we've kind of gone up and down. We're proud of 21, 22, but the disclaimer is there was a graduation waiver in there as well, so we took full advantage of it, and I know all the other high schools did too. So we were able to reap the rewards of the post-conference GRU waiver, and then this last year, we kind of took a little bit of a hit. We dropped to 52.5, but again, if you can kind of track back to where we started in the mid 40s, we've come a long ways. We obviously, in order to exit school improvement, you got to be above 67%. So we've been really close. So like I said, that 63 got us really close. And why do we want to exit? Well, I'm not sure that we really do. We always want to improve, but if we exit, we also know that we lose some of that grant. We lose all that grant money. And this last year was about $50,000, which we take full advantage and push the limits, whether it's with feeding families or whether it's with buying exercise equipment that the state doesn't want us to buy, but that's the only way we can buy this stuff. So again, we take advantage of that. So when you look at this particular diagram, I just want to point your attention to, this doesn't work, but where it says 2022, if you look at the 5-year versus the 4-year, because it's like this pretty much every year, the kids that graduate from our school in 4 years, it's 63%, right? But 2 years ago, when you look at 5-year graduation rate, it jumps up to 71. So obviously, according to the data, most of our students tend to graduate closer to 5 years than they do in 4. One of our goals is always to get them to graduate in 4 years, because as you guys and I know, as kids get older, they don't want to be around 16 and 17-year-old kids. Once they get to 18, 19, they think they're adults and they want to exit. So if we want to graduate our kids, we try to push for the 4-year graduation rate. When you look at the data, which is kind of what everybody looks at, and how we're doing compared to past years, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. As you guys look at the area of math, last year we were just slight of 8%
I think we had a total of 3 students that passed the state assessment in math last year. ELA also dropped on us to 11.1, and science is the assessment that juniors take. We're struggling in that area, but we're trying to work towards figuring it out. One of the big things that we believe is going to help us is standards-based grading and working collaboratively with OHS, identifying power standards and understanding what it is that we have to teach, how we want to teach this, and how we want to assess these students so that we can reach our goal. So again, trying to improve in these areas is something that we focus on every year, but there's also reasons as to why our percentages aren't higher, and I'll talk a little bit about them here shortly. So if you look at this is our STAR reading assessment. This is one of the common assessments that we use regularly in our school. But when you look at kind of the fall compared to the winter, how many kids were at grade level by grade, and where we're at now, we had one student at in the beginning of the school year that was at grade level in our school, and it was a senior, and currently we have 4 students that are at grade level in the area of reading, according to the STAR assessment. So again, this is the assessment that we take at minimum of 3 times per year. At our school, we probably take it closer to 5 times, if not 6 per year. This is the area of reading. The area of math, beginning of the year, we had 3 students at grade level. Presently, there are 5 students at grade level. One of the big things that we're doing at our school is pumping up the STAR assessment. If it's important to our teachers, it's going to be important to our students. And I know that my teachers do a great job because they look at this data and they take it personal. They know that if their kids are growing, they're being effective in the classroom. But I also know the other side of the coin where my teachers are bummed out because they don't see the growth that they want when they're working tirelessly to try to get those results. But again, our students are where they're at. Our goal is always to grow our kids 2 or more years in one year in both reading and in the area of math as well. The WIDA progression, this is the language acquisition assessment. This assessment has obviously evolved over time, but as you guys can see the data here in the year 22-23, we didn't have anyone that passed this assessment last year. It was a tough assessment. I will give you this disclaimer. As a school, I don't think that we paid enough attention to the WIDA assessment. I don't think we did enough, and mostly because we were focused in other areas, but the WIDA was something that this year we said, hey, we're going back to the drawing table. We're going to look at our ELL students, and we're going to figure out how are we going to address them. And one of the main reasons why we focused on this year, if you look at these numbers, we currently have 74 kids in our school, which makes up 47% of our student population is an ELL student. These are students that are they're learning the English language. They're trying to conquer it. This assessment's not easy. I have students that are not multilingual students that probably could not pass this assessment. It's very closely linked to the state assessment at SBA. So again, as you look at our growth, the one thing that you notice is that number in parentheses, it continues to grow to where now in 3rd trimester, we're sitting at 74 of these kids being ELL. So we're doing a lot of work. We're doing everything we can, but we have a special need at our school that we are laser focused on, which is how do we grow kids at a faster level? And again, number one is we got to get them to show up, and you'll see attendance right now. Once they show up, then I know I have to have the right staff on the bus in order to get this bus moving forward, and I can assure you I got the right staff on the bus. I know that for a fact. In the area of the STAMP assessment, if you're not familiar with it, this is the language acquisition assessment where if you're bilingual, you want to take this test. We talk about how do you catch up credit. It's kind of like when you guys took a college course in college and you challenge the class. You pay for the credit, you take the assessment. If you score at a certain height, you don't have to sit in class for the entire trimester. That's what these kids are doing here. And as you look at the credits on the very right-hand side, credits earned, well, we administered this one time a year to begin with, and then we went twice, and then we went to 3. It's evolved to where now we're going to offer it again. We're already sitting at, this assessment has earned our kids 82.25 credits this year, and we haven't even done it the 3rd time. So that's coming up. One of the big things that we're proud of is the second bullet point. There's been 39 students that have tested this year. 36 of those 39 have earned credits. It's averaging to about just slightly over 2 credits per student. That's 4 classes. That really helps their transcript when we think about who's behind and how do we catch up. 3 students have already earned the seal of biliteracy. That's basically a very high honor for scoring at a certain height and also being able to pass the state assessment in ELA. So we're pretty proud of those kids, and those kids will be recognized at graduation as well with a special medal. Attendance. This is an item that I wanted to skip and not talk about, but we gotta address it, right? We have to have students show up in order for them to be successful. If you look at this this arrow here, that's when we kind of started this path at DOHS. Myself, we were at 55.2 students, and we were picking up momentum. We went to 62, and then we got to 80, and we thought like we figured this attendance thing out, and all of a sudden COVID came to visit and kind of knocked us off our throne, and we're working to get back to where we're at post-COVID. We got as low as 29%, and the way they calculate this is if students that have missed 2 or less days in a month. That's how the state calculates this. So we're at 44%, and just to kind of let you guys know, this last trimester, we did grow. So this is our first trimester. This is all students at DOHS. We were at 74%, and this last trimester, when we finally put in all the data for second trimester, we were at 76. Our goal is to improve by 5%. Remember our OSSI goal? So we needed to get to 79. We didn't get there. So we're hoping to improve even more so by this last trimester. So again, attendance is something that we preach, we talk about, we share the data publicly. It's displayed on our walls. We give it in the announcements because we know that if we keep telling our kids that it's important to show up at some point, because of our relationships, because of our hard work, it's going to pay off. The ALE program, another way you can earn credit at DOHS and catch up and potentially return back to the high school. In 22-23, last year, we awarded 96.2 credits. So the way you figure that out is most classes are worth 0.5 credits. Some are worth 1.0 depending on the class. But this year already, without looking at this third trimester, we've awarded 94.84 credits. This is pretty significant. When you visited us and you walked into that back classroom, there's gold plates on those walls. I think she's on wall number 3 or 4. She's ruining her paint, but she puts these gold plates up on the wall to represent a student's name and the class that they have passed. It's a pretty big badge of honor for our students, and we continue to celebrate every time they earn credit. And the ironic part is, sometimes we have a student that just the anxiety or the stress or the depression is getting to them in the traditional program, and then all of a sudden we put them in the ALE program and they thrive. Why? Well, a lot of it has to do with our teachers back there, Mrs. Alvarado and Mrs. Mendoza, but the environment. Right now we have kids that are, we have an average of anywhere from 10 to 15 kids that are in there daily, and some kids, I mean, if you're familiar with the alternative program, kids can kind of set their own schedule, come and go. We require them to do 7 assignments minimum per day because we can assure ourselves if they do that, they're progressing at an adequate pace, but we encourage them to do more. So again, we're doing a great job in the ALE program. So what has Desert Oasis done for graduation? Well, since we've been there this is year 7 for me, we've graduated 139 kids, and what I always tell families when we visit, there's 139 kids in our community that have diplomas because of that school and because of that staff. If that staff and that school did not exist, then there's 139 additional dropouts that probably wouldn't have made it. And just so you guys know, like, why do students get sent to Desert Oasis High School? Number one reason is academically deficient. They fall behind. Many different reasons in life. Once they fall behind, it's hard to catch up. They come over here to Desert Oasis, and that's our goal. The second reason is it's a choice school. They choose to come. And every trimester we've had more and more students, and I think we're going to start just a waiting list right now because we have a lot of freshmen, and the reality is we don't have enough teachers for freshman classes. So it's a good problem to have, though. So this growth has been doing really well.
Hey, Josh, would you step back to the attendance slide really quick? I want to point something out for the board.
That one?
That one, yes. So if you create this exact graph for the state of Washington, what you would find in the 1920 school year, the average attendance for all students in Washington, K-12, was 90%. And so you can see DOHS just below that threshold. And if you broke it down by alternative schools, that's a really impressive number. But I think you should also be aware that this issue of attendance is across the country. During the pandemic and afterward, how families responded to, oh, I can miss school. We just changed the habits about schooling, and people are experiencing this everywhere. So what I think we should be encouraged by is that upward trend, right? Almost this 15% improvement. And as we get systems back in place and start to bring that up, of all the impacts of the pandemic, that attendance one is I think the most serious. Because even if we're providing the right things with the right intensity and the right rigor, and they're not there to participate in it, that hurts. But I did want to note, like, don't let this scare you, and don't think that it's unique to DOHS. It's actually something to be celebrated.
So if I can remind you of that image of the tree with the branches, this data that I'm going to share here, this comes right out of our. It's very similar to our CEE data. And this is a survey that our school improvement team put together. We wanted to find out, why do Desert Oasis High School students miss school? How do they feel in our school? So we created a really brief survey, because the shorter the survey, the more likely that they're going to complete it. And we wanted to see if it aligned kind of with our CEE data. So one of the first question is, if you're not coming to school consistently, what are your reasons? And this is what our students said. Motivation, illness, those are the biggest ones. Being tired, just like any other student. There's not much that stands out that's out of the norm. The next question was, do you enjoy coming to Desert Oasis High School? And every time I meet with a student, 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, yes, they do. And they'll tell you why. And it has to do with respect, their teachers, the relationships, the environment. But yet they still miss. And when you ask them, why do you still miss? Then they tell you, they own it, and they say, it's just me, Tovar. I got some issues right now, and they got different types of issues. But here's what our students said: do they enjoy coming to school? 80% said yes, 14 said yes, but with barriers. Their barriers are usually themselves, their family, their situation, their living arrangement. But when you look at that, you're talking 94. I believe our CE data said 92. Kids are enjoying their time at Desert Oasis and their transition there, but we're still working on that attendance. Do you feel like you fit in and are accepted at Desert Oasis High School? Our students said 92% of them said that they feel like they fit in. That's really important to us, because if they don't fit in, then we need to make some changes to make them fit in. There's at least one adult at Desert Oasis that I can talk to, and it doesn't matter if it's our lunch lady or if it's our teachers, but 82% said yes. 18%, we got work to do, because that percentage was higher on the CEE, so we realized that we need to make sure. But a lot of this is also one of the things that we just did recently. We took the survey, and the transition of new students, we brought in about 34 new high school students. We allowed them to take the survey too. Now they're going to answer just some of these CE questions, but they don't really know the environment yet. They've had like 3 days, 4 days, a week max to adjust themselves to this. So we don't know how they're going to answer on this CEE data, because they might use their past experience at a different school, or maybe they're going to rate it on Desert Oasis High School. But we did it because we wanted to have a larger sample size. So again, just to kind of wrap up everything that we do, Pete said, don't let that data scare you. I would say more broader, don't let our school scare you. Don't let our students scare you. We do have different clientele. We do have a different environment. But for those of us that live this every single day, it's Desert Oasis High School. And when people have their opinion of our school, I always encourage them to visit, because once you come and visit Desert Oasis High School, you're going to realize, oh, wow, these kids are really respectful. 100% respectful. Everything's about respect at our school. Our students are trying the best they can. They do have a lot of obstacles. Our teachers are trying the best they can, and they have a lot of obstacles. But on behalf of my staff, we want to thank you guys for, number one, visiting us last week, and number two, we want to thank you guys for your time and for listening to us. And I'm going to open up. If you have any questions for us, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'll jump in here real quick. I apologize. I couldn't make it to the meeting or the site visit. Not by choice, but I got an active dairy farm and I couldn't miss that day. But I want to just give you guys credit for. I mean, yeah, the data. But I see it trending in the right way, and that's very encouraging. Like I really enjoy what you guys are doing there. You've changed the whole atmosphere. Like, so I was class of '91, and alternative school is nowhere near what it is back then. What it is now. You guys just made it so inviting but a couple questions. This 55 on the 10th grade, is that just in their pie graph? Is that just because of this year, or is that a?
So one of the things to be aware of is every trimester our numbers change.
Okay.
And they change, they increase is what they do. So that 55 means right now, that's who's there this trimester.
Okay.
So tomorrow, we might have an additional student, so that number changes.
Okay.
Because it's a choice school, so today I had a couple calls for ninth graders, and I told the high school, hey, we're gonna time out on the ninth graders because we don't have capacity right now. The ninth grade classes are just packed.
Yeah.
Remember, the school was built for 10th through 12th grade, but we've been taking ninth graders, and I've had 8th grade parents call me and say, can my kid just jump right in? And the answer is yes, but we'd like them to try the high school first, but I also know the high school's in the mix of kind of maybe piloting some different things for freshman students.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And then the absentee, and I won't mention his name, but one of your students milks for me, and I had him milk. I always ask him, and he, he's always been loyal about coming to work, and I always ask him. I needed a relief milker, and we have to milk every day, so he has come to milk, but he won't ever tell me, did you go to school the next day? But I guess I'm guilty of that, so I apologize for that.
So I can definitely help you with that. If you email me or send me his name, I could definitely tell you how he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'll come by and we'll touch base with. But he's a great kid, but I see that the school's perfect for him, and hopefully he sticks with it, and I'll definitely keep working with him because I think that's what he needs. He's a great worker, and there's a great future for him and stuff. But
Good.
Thank you.
I apologize. I wasn't at the site visit either. I wasn't feeling very good. But I've been to your site many times, and as we have visited other schools and done cookies and conversations at other schools with students, I promise you there's not another campus that can get 80 to 90% of their kids to say that they love coming to school or that they have a sense of belonging. You have some sort of magic between you and your staff that you really make kids feel like you care about them. And I know that it's not just an act, you feel it, and it comes out so authentically, and that's why kids love coming to your school. When you say it's a choice school, it's because kids choose to come there. And they wouldn't if they hated it. They wouldn't if you created an environment where they didn't feel welcome and they didn't feel safe and they didn't feel like people cared about them. So just kudos to you and to your staff and all the hard work that you guys put in to really save lives. I don't mean to be dramatic about it, but the amount of kids that have graduated, like you said, there's 100 and something kids that are walking around Othello that have a high school diploma because of the work that you do. And it's so hard to succeed in life without a high school diploma. So I don't feel discouraged by the data. I feel like every person counts. Every kid that graduates from your school, every child matters. And so it's just thank you so much for all the hard work that you put in and have been putting in and will continue to put in. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'll let our staff know. Pete reminded me of something today when he was in my office, and sometimes we get focused as leaders on the data, but one of the things that we often forget is the child, and whether or not they're going to be a functioning member of society someday. And I can assure you, just like Director Brzezinski just said, our kids are going to be functioning. They may not have passed the state assessment, but they'll be respectful, and they'll be hardworking, and they'll know how to persevere when life hits them in the face.
I just want to say thank you for somebody who had never been in that high school at all. It was eye-opening to see the kids, the different groups, you could say, and all working together. I took away, Jessica, you're amazing in that little room with so many kids. I'm gonna be honest, we walked around, Pete and I and Aaron, and a kid came at you, and it was raw. You were the comment where you said, well, bring it, and the kid responded to you. That was awesome. that really tells me that the kids are wanting to learn, they respect where they're at, they want to be there, and just the things that you guys do, some of the stories that the kids told us that day when they came in to talk to us were just heartwarming. And if there's anything that you guys ever need at that school, please let us know. I talked to you and Josh, and just so you know, I kind of had a conversation, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but there's a donation check coming to you from my work for that school for those needs for those kids. I
Thank
just want
you.
you to know that.
Yeah, thanks. We definitely appreciate it. Yeah.
I would like to add something as well. You guys have created such a beautiful and positive environment to help kids succeed no matter what the circumstances are, just by focusing on the students itself and their needs and for them to be able to grow. I believe that's like such a big thing. Sadly, I never knew Desert Oasis as much, so seeing all this information and seeing all the students' growth and the environment you guys created was actually, like, it's really good. Like, helping kids succeed no matter where they are, that's perfect. It's honestly just great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that's already been said. Our visit was amazing. I loved meeting with your students. They were kind of nervous at first, but once they got going, they were great and so positive. And like has been said, one of the main things that stood out to me was just all the work that you and your team do ahead of time to get it to work. I'm sure it's stressful, but we really appreciate you catching those students.
Thank you.
I just want to express my gratitude on the photos in the presentation. Those photos specifically told me the smiles on those student faces that they really appreciate the work that all you guys do, creating personal bonds with every single student to ensure they have the best education possible and just managing everything academic-wise. It's really amazing that you guys have set these opportunities for these students, and I'd like to apologize because I wasn't able to attend the board site visit the last week, I believe. But yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Josh, always
Yes.
one of the best visits. I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
W-
Yeah.
One last thing, Josh, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but keep that group together, because they are, like you said, wonderful staff.
Just to be totally transparent, we fired Mendoza every year, and she keeps coming back. So, no, I just want to, just to end, guys, on a more serious note, I have a really good team. My teachers, every single person, my office staff, people say, how do you function with just yourself? And these guys behind me, that's how, and our entire team, even those that aren't able to make it, I just want to, acknowledge them publicly, because they're the reason why we are having success, and it's going well. So again, I appreciate all you guys' time. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
With that, we'll go on to district priorities.
Those were the two reports for this evening, Ken.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll go on to policy review. Again, these are first readings. Take a look at those. Any questions, comments? Please go back. They will be on for the next one. Upcoming events. We have our meeting, NSBA conference coming up. Of course, everybody should have got the email with the agenda. And then we got the regular board meeting as soon as we get back on April 10th. A Scootney site visit, April 15th. Special board meeting for the scholarship on April 22nd. And our regular board meeting that night. Anything else to add to April? Okay, then we'll go on to the self-assessment of the meeting.
The recognition is always such a highlight. Having all the kids here, and even though they were a little shy on the mic, having them share their experiences is really, really such a highlight. Loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that too, because I missed the Othello Outlook, being able to open the paper and see how all the sports teams do, but I don't. So I guess I could get online to follow all that. But I'm glad that you guys bring them forward for us to get them that recognition and to let the rest of the community that know how all these kids did and what a great program the wrestling program is, and all the other athletics, and so yeah, keep bringing them forward. It's very encouraging.
A lot of information tonight.
Yes.
A lot of information.
Very well presented, all the information. Yes.
I love the DOHS presentation, especially the part where they include a lot of pictures of the students.
Very well-planned agenda.
I have a question or a comment on the room setup. Could we get some feedback around that?
I prefer this setup. Now, if I'm overruled, that's totally fine, because I'm fine with the other setup too. But having access to actually see the whiteboard, at least from where I sit, it's too hard to see it behind me, and then it's too far away to see it. So this, but that's just me.
It was great, and we actually do have more room too if we need to set up more chairs for larger crowd. So it was great.
No, I agree. I like the setup. If we could maybe move a flag to the other side, so for flag salute, that'd be my only complaint.
I like the other setup better, but that's just me.
Just because the screen was closer to you.
Okay.
I like this. I like this setup.
Any more for the assessment? Any more to add, Pete? Okay, seeing none, then the meeting's adjourned.